The Galactic Empire had ruled the stars for more than 10,000 years. Its banners stretched across thousands of systems, its fleets patrolled the void, and its archives recorded every species that had ever dared to challenge it. For the Empire, knowledge was power, and nothing in the galaxy escaped its careful records, or so they believed. In the outer sectors, near the edge of the Orion Spur, lay a quiet frontier system called Valen. It was not famous, nor rich, but it had recently become the focus of trouble. The Dravic Dominion, a brutal coalition of warlike species, had begun to push into Imperial borders. Their fleets struck with fire and fury, testing the Empire's defenses. Valen, with its single habitable planet and valuable mining colonies, became their next target. Admiral Reinar of the Imperial fleet had been dispatched with a strong force to protect Valen. His ships gleamed with silver hulls and Imperial crests, symbols of the Empire's unbroken rule. As his fleet formed a defensive line around the system's primary world, he addressed his officers. "We will not allow the Dominion to take even a single stone of Imperial soil," Reinar declared, his voice sharp and certain. "Our records prove their strength, their weapons, and their tactics. We know them, and knowledge is victory." The officers nodded, reassured. The Empire always knew. The archives had detailed every battle the Dravic Dominion had ever fought. Their weapons were catalogued, their ships classified, their tactics studied. Nothing about them was new. Yet as the fleet prepared for war, something unexpected happened. The early warning sensors detected a presence at the edge of the system. At first, Imperial analysts assumed it was a Dominion scout. But as the image sharpened, shock rippled through the command center. It was not Dominion. It was something else. The ship was massive, far larger than an Imperial battleship, its dark hull gliding silently against the stars. Its design did not match anything in Imperial records. No curved Elvari hulls, no jagged Dravic spikes, no sleek Saurian outlines. It was something entirely new. Flat, angular, with sharp lines and a brutal simplicity that suggested strength over elegance. Admiral Reinar leaned forward in his command chair. "Identify that vessel," he ordered. The analysts scrambled. Databases were scanned, comparisons made, records checked. The results were impossible. "There is nothing, Admiral," one officer finally reported, voice trembling. "It is not in our archives, not in their archives." The words chilled the room. The Empire's power came from knowing everything. To see a ship of this size, of this strength, and not know its origin, it was unthinkable. Reinar forced his voice to remain calm. "Open hailing channels. Demand identification." Signals were sent. No reply came. The strange ship drifted closer, steady and silent, as if watching. By now, whispers spread through the Imperial crews. Who built this ship? Was it a Dominion superweapon? A hidden ally? Or something older? Something from beyond the stars? The Velan colonists, watching from their planet below, filled their networks with speculation and fear. The Empire had always promised safety, always claimed to know every threat. Now they seemed uncertain. Before Reinar could decide on action, the Dominion fleet arrived. The Dravic came with fire and noise. Dozens of spiked warships, their hulls painted in crimson, dropped out of hyperspace in formation. Their weapons glowed with the heat of anticipation. They roared across the comms, promising conquest and destruction. Admiral Reinar steeled himself. "All ships prepare for battle. Defend the planet at all costs." Imperial cruisers moved into position, energy shields blazing to life. Fighters launched, filling the void like swarms of fireflies. The first exchange of fire lit up the darkness, green Imperial beams against red Dominion cannons. The battle had begun. But before the Imperial fleet could fully engage, the unknown warship moved. It glided forward, straight between the Dominion armada and the Imperial defenders. No shields flared, no warning signals sounded. It simply took position, silent and immovable. "Admiral, the unknown vessel it's blocking the enemy advance," an officer reported in disbelief. The Dravic Dominion opened fire immediately. Their cannons spat plasma bolts, their torpedoes streaked across the void. Dozens of blasts struck the strange ship's hull, and nothing happened. The mysterious vessel endured the barrage without flinching. Its dark armor absorbed the hits, leaving not even a scratch. Gasps filled the Imperial command deck. "That's impossible," one officer whispered. Then the unknown ship retaliated. From its sides, vast weapon bays opened. Kinetic projectiles larger than any Imperial dreadnought, launched at breathtaking speed. Each one tore through Dominion warships as if they were paper. Entire cruisers split apart in a single shot, their debris scattering across the stars. Next came energy beams, thin, blinding lines of white light that sliced ships in half. Dominion battleships, proud and massive, fell apart in silence as the beams passed through them. The battle turned instantly. The Dominion fleet, so confident only moments ago, now screamed in chaos. They fired wildly, trying to harm the unyielding enemy. Nothing worked. Ship after ship exploded under the unknown warship's relentless fire. Within minutes, the great Dominion fleet was no more. Silence fell. Even the Imperial crews, seasoned in countless wars, sat frozen in awe. The entire enemy armada had been annihilated in less than the time it took for a cruiser to complete a firing cycle. Admiral Reinar stood slowly, his eyes wide. "What are they?" he whispered. His officers said nothing. No one had answers. The dark warship drifted once more, silent as though nothing had happened. It did not hail, did not threaten. It simply lingered, watching both the stunned Imperial fleet and the broken remains of the Dominion. For the first time in centuries, the Empire faced something outside its control, something beyond its knowledge, something that had rewritten the balance of power in a single battle. And deep within the Empire's core, far from Velan, whispers would soon rise. If a warship could exist beyond their records, what else had the Empire missed? The battlefield above Velan remained silent after the sudden annihilation of the Dominion fleet. The unknown warship floated in the void like a shadow, its massive hull reflecting faint starlight. Wreckage from destroyed Dominion vessels drifted across the system, glowing fragments scattering in slow arcs. On the command deck of the Imperial flagship Glory of the Empire, Admiral Reinar stood rigid, his eyes locked on the mysterious ship. His officers whispered in low voices, struggling to understand what they had witnessed. An entire Dominion armada destroyed in minutes. Without warning, without mercy. "Admiral," one officer finally said, his voice shaking, "the Dominion fleet had over 300 ships. They are gone." Reinar's jaw tightened. He had fought for decades in the Emperor's service, and never in his life had he seen such devastation delivered so swiftly. "How?" he whispered to himself. The analyst team worked frantically, replaying battle recordings, running scans, and comparing results with the archives. Every blast, every weapon, every maneuver was catalogued. But none of it matched Imperial knowledge. "Admiral," another officer reported, "they're projectiles. They move faster than any mass driver we have ever seen. They strike with such force that shields cannot stop them. And their beams—" He hesitated. "Our archives hold no record of energy weapons that efficient." Reinar turned slowly, his face pale. "So we face a power beyond our understanding, beyond our empire." The Imperial fleet kept a cautious distance from the stranger. No one dared approach. The ship did not fire again, but its silent presence carried a weight heavier than any weapon. Then, without warning, Dominion reinforcements arrived. The second wave of the Dominion fleet burst from hyperspace at the far edge of the system. Larger than the first, nearly 500 ships strong, they came roaring with vengeance. They had received word of their comrades' destruction and were determined to crush both the Empire and this new intruder. On every Imperial deck, alarms blared. Crew members ran to stations. Shields were raised and weapons charged. But all eyes remained on the mysterious ship. Would it fight again? The Dominion commander, a scarred reptilian general, broadcast across all frequencies. His voice thundered with fury. "You dare stand against the Dominion! You dare slaughter our warriors! Unknown vessel, Empire ship, it makes no difference. Today you will all be ashes." The Dominion fleet surged forward, plasma cannons glowing red, torpedo bays opening. Admiral Reinar felt the familiar weight of fear settle over his crew. He opened his comms to the fleet. "Hold position. Do not provoke the unknown ship. Let us see what path it takes." The answer came swiftly. The dark warship moved again, sliding forward with slow, deliberate grace. Its engines burned with a pale blue light, steady and calm, as if the massive vessel felt no urgency in the face of hundreds of enemies. The Dominion fleet roared into firing range and unleashed a storm. Plasma bolts, missiles, and heavy beams lit the void in a sea of red and gold. The mysterious ship disappeared inside the fury of the barrage. Imperial officers gasped. No ship can survive that. But when the storm cleared, the warship remained. Untouched. Its hull shimmered faintly, as if armored with technology unknown to the galaxy. Then once again it answered. This time the strike was even more terrifying. From hidden bays, swarms of smaller crafts launched. Sleek and deadly, they resembled fighters but moved at impossible speeds. They darted through Dominion formations, their weapons firing streams of light that pierced shields and armor alike. Dominion cruisers broke apart under their relentless assault. The main vessel unleashed more projectiles. Massive slugs accelerated to such velocity that entire battleships shattered on impact. Each strike echoed like a thunderclap across the comms, followed by silence as another Dominion ship died. Then came the beams. Thin, white, and merciless, they carved through multiple ships in a single sweep, leaving drifting husks behind. The Dominion fought back with rage, but their fire barely touched the mysterious ship or its swarming escorts. The more they fought, the more they were destroyed. Within the first 10 minutes, 100 Dominion ships were gone. By 20 minutes, half their fleet was destroyed. Admiral Reinar and his officers watched in silence, horror and awe mixing in their hearts. "This is not war," whispered one of the younger officers. "This is slaughter." The Dominion commander shouted orders, trying to rally his fleet. "Surround it. Fire all weapons. Sacrifice everything if you must." Dozens of Dominion ships threw themselves at the mysterious vessel, desperate to overwhelm it. But the attempt failed. The warship's weapons cut them down before they could get close. Even when a Dominion battleship managed to ram its hull, the strange ship did not break. The battleship crumpled against its armor, exploding uselessly. Imperial crews stared, unable to look away. The impossible was unfolding before their eyes. The Dominion fleet, 500 strong, was being destroyed faster than the Empire could track. Within 30 minutes, silence fell again. The Dominion fleet was gone. Not one ship survived. Debris drifted like ashes through the void. The mysterious warship returned to stillness, hovering above Valen as if nothing had happened. Its fighters returned to their bays, vanishing behind armored doors. On the glory of the Empire, no one spoke for a long time. The only sound was the steady hum of life support and the faint crackle of the comms. Finally, Admiral Reinar forced himself to speak. "Report." The analysts gave their findings, though their voices trembled. "Admiral, the unknown vessel destroyed nearly 800 ships in less than 1 hour. Its defenses are impenetrable. Its weapons are beyond anything we know. Its technology does not exist in our archives." Reinar clenched his fists. The words echoed the greatest fear of the Empire, something outside their knowledge, outside their control. The Valen colonists sent frantic messages to the Imperial fleet. Some praised the unknown ship as a savior, while others feared it as a destroyer. Already rumors spread that the Empire had built a secret weapon, or that ancient gods had returned. Reinar knew the truth was worse. The Empire had no idea what this ship was. He turned to his officers. "Open hailing channels again. Demand they identify themselves." Signals were sent, this time after a long silence. The warship answered. A voice filled the Imperial comms, calm, firm, and distinctly alien yet familiar. "This is Captain Elias of the United Terran Fleet. We stand to defend the innocent." "Who speaks for the Empire?" The officers froze. A name unknown. A fleet unrecorded. A species never catalogued. Admiral Reinar's heart pounded. He spoke slowly, carefully. "I am Admiral Reinar, servant of the Galactic Empire. Your vessel is unknown to us. Your people are not in our records. Identify your origin." There was another pause, then the human captain replied, "We are human, from Terra. We have no interest in conquest, but we will not stand idle while tyrants burn worlds." The command deck erupted in murmurs. Human Terra? None of it appeared in the archives. It was impossible. Every species, every world, every fleet had been recorded. Admiral Reinar felt the weight of history shifting. The Empire had always claimed to know all, but here, standing in front of him, was proof they did not. The Dominion had been annihilated. The balance of power shattered, and the galaxy had changed forever. That night, as Valen's skies cleared and the colonists gazed upward, they no longer saw only Imperial ships above their world. They saw something new, Something terrifying and perhaps something hopeful. The impossible battle had ended, but its consequences were only beginning, and across the galaxy, far from Velen, the whispers grew louder. If the Empire did not know of these humans, what else remained hidden in the dark? The galaxy was vast, and yet the Empire believed it had mapped it all. Every star system catalogued, every species identified, every ship design recorded in its mighty archives. Knowledge was power, and the Empire's strength came from knowing everything. But the battle at Velan had shattered that illusion. An entire Dominion armada had been annihilated, not by the Empire's fleet, but by a ship no one had ever seen before. And now, its commander had spoken words that rippled through every Imperial mind. "We are human." From Terra. On the command deck of the Glory of the Empire, Admiral Rhynar stood in silence. His officers were pale, their faces marked with disbelief. The word human echoed like a mystery. It was not in their records. Rhynar finally spoke, his voice steady, but edged with unease. "Captain Elias of Terra, explain yourselves. How is it possible that the Empire has no record of your kind?" Across the comms, the voice of the human captain returned. Calm, firm. "Because we never revealed ourselves. For centuries, we grew in silence, far from the great powers. We built in the shadows. We watched the stars, but we stayed apart." The Imperial officers exchanged stunned glances. It was impossible. No species could escape the reach of the Empire's archives. And yet, here stood proof. Rhynar pressed further. "Why reveal yourselves now? Why intervene in Velan?" The human's answer came without hesitation. "Because innocents were about to be slaughtered. The Dominion kills without mercy. We could not allow it." The words spread quickly. From the Imperial flagship, transmissions carried the conversation to every ship in the fleet, and from there to the Velan colonies. Within hours, millions knew the truth. A hidden people had emerged, and they were powerful beyond imagining. On Velan's surface, citizens filled the streets, staring at the skies where the mysterious warship lingered. Some whispered in fear, believing it a new conqueror. Others prayed, hoping it was a savior. For the first time, the people questioned whether the Empire was truly the strongest guardian of the stars. In the Imperial fleet, debates flared. Officers argued in hushed voices, trying to make sense of what they had witnessed. "They must be an ancient species," one said. "No," replied another. "Their language is close to ours. Their appearance, from what little we see, is familiar. They're not ancient, they're something else. But how can they be missing from the archives? Perhaps the archives are not as complete as we believed." Such words were dangerous even to speak. To doubt the completeness of the Empire's knowledge was to doubt the Empire itself. But the impossible had happened, and no one could deny it. Admiral Rhynar, bound by duty, sent an urgent report to the Imperial Corps. His message was brief, but its weight was heavy. Unknown warship destroyed Dominion fleets. Identifies as human. Species not in records. Technology beyond current classification. Immediate counsel required. The message sped across hyperspace, toward the heart of the Empire. In the meantime, the humans remained above Velan. They did not threaten. They did not demand. Their massive ship simply stayed, silent and still, as though waiting. Days passed, and eventually, an Imperial delegation arrived. A diplomatic cruiser, painted in gold and silver, approached the human warship under white banners of truce. Inside the cruiser, Imperial Ambassador Solara prepared herself. She was a woman of calm poise, trained in the art of negotiation. Yet even she felt unease. She carried the weight of the Empire's honor, tasked with uncovering the truth behind these humans. The cruiser docked with the human vessel through a sealed airlock. Solara and her guards entered, stepping into a corridor unlike any she had seen before. The walls were plain, functional, built for strength rather than beauty. There were no gilded designs, no symbols of power. Everything about the human ship spoke of efficiency and purpose. At the end of the corridor, they were met by figures in dark uniforms. Humans. Solara froze for a moment. They looked so familiar, almost as if they could have walked the streets of any imperial world. Yet they were strangers. The human captain stepped forward. "I am Elias," he said simply. His voice was steady, his eyes sharp. "Welcome aboard the Terran Valor." In the meeting chamber, Solara began the careful dance of diplomacy. "Captain Elias," she said, "the Empire has ruled these stars for 10,000 years. Our archives hold every record of known life. Yet you are absent. How is this possible?" Elias leaned back slightly. "Because we chose to be absent. While your empire rose, we stayed in our corner of space, hidden. We built our strength quietly. We watched, and when we saw the Dominion's cruelty, we knew it was time to act." Solara frowned. "You hid deliberately? For how long?" "For centuries," Elias replied. "We knew the galaxy was filled with empires that craved power. We did not wish to be conquered or absorbed, so we prepared. Alone." His words carried a quiet certainty that unsettled Solara. A people who could hide from the Empire's gaze for centuries, who could prepare in silence until their fleets surpassed all others. Such a people were dangerous. She asked the question that weighed on every Imperial mind. "What do you want from us, from the galaxy?" Elias's reply was simple. "We want freedom, we want peace, and we want to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Nothing more." Back on the glory of the Empire, Admiral Reinar listened to the reports with mixed feelings. The humans spoke of peace, but their weapons told another story. They claimed to want freedom, yet they wielded power great enough to topple entire civilizations. The officers debated endlessly. Some argued the humans should be treated as allies. Others saw them as a threat that must be destroyed before they grew stronger. But none could deny what had already happened. Without the humans, Valen would have fallen. Thousands would be dead. The Dominion would have advanced deeper into Imperial space. Across the galaxy, word of the humans spread like fire. Traders whispered of them in spaceports. Scholars argued in universities. Noble houses in the Imperial core demanded answers from the Emperor himself. Some feared that the humans would challenge the Empire's rule. Others dreamed of alliances, imagining what could be gained if the Empire and the humans joined together. And still others whispered the most dangerous thought of all. Perhaps the humans were better protectors than the Empire. On Valen, life began to change. Colonists looked to the skies with new hope. Children spoke of the dark warship that had saved them, drawing pictures of its shape. Farmers, miners, and workers who had always feared the Dominion now spoke with courage, believing someone stronger watched over them. Even the Imperial soldiers stationed there felt conflicted. They had sworn loyalty to the Emperor, but when the Dominion came, it was not the Empire that saved Valen. It was the humans, in the Imperial core. The Emperor himself received Admiral Reinar's report. The Golden Throne Room, filled with advisors and nobles, fell silent as the words were read aloud. Humans. Terra. Unknown technology. Fleet beyond comparison. For the first time in centuries, the Emperor sat in silence. He, too, felt the weight of something new, something dangerous. If the archives had failed, if a power existed beyond their knowledge, then the very foundation of the Empire was shaken. Meanwhile, Captain Elias and his crew remained calm. They did not seek to conquer, nor to boast of their strength. They only moved quietly, preparing for the next threat. For the Dominion was not finished. Even in their defeat, they gathered strength in hidden strongholds burning for revenge. And when they returned, it would not be with hundreds of ships, it would be with thousands. The humans knew this, and they would be ready. Thus the revelation of humanity spread across the stars. A people once hidden, now revealed. A power once silent, now undeniable. The galaxy had changed. The Empire had been shaken, and for the first time, a new question echoed across the stars. If humans could rise unseen, What else might be waiting in the dark? The news of humanity's appearance spread through the Galactic Empire like a storm. In the core worlds, where golden spires touched the skies and nobles wrapped themselves in luxury, the whispers grew louder each day. A single hidden species unknown to the vast imperial archives had emerged and destroyed fleets the Empire itself could not have defeated. For the first time in centuries, fear touched the hearts of those who believed themselves unshakable. Inside the council hall, where the most powerful voices of the Empire gathered, tension filled the air. The great chamber was built of crystal and steel, its ceiling painted with the history of the Empire's victories. For generations, decisions made here had shaped the galaxy. Now, for the first time in living memory, the council debated something they did not understand. Ambassador Solara stood in the center, reporting her meeting with Captain Elias aboard the human ship. Her voice was calm, but her words unsettled every noble present. "They are called humans," she said. "They come from a world they call Terra. They claim they hid themselves from galactic politics for centuries, growing in secret. They say they do not want conquest. They say they only want freedom and to defend those in need." A murmur spread through the hall. One noble scoffed. "Defend, do not be deceived, Ambassador. No one builds weapons of such power for defense alone." Another leaned forward. "And how did they remain hidden from us? The Empire has explored every star, mapped every system." Solara met their gazes steadily, and yet they remained unseen. Which means either our archives are not as perfect as we believed, or they have means of hiding beyond our understanding. The chamber grew restless. To admit the archives were incomplete was dangerous. The archives were the pride of the Empire, the foundation of its power. If the archives could fail, what else might be missing? The Emperor listened in silence from his throne. Draped in robes of deep crimson, his golden crown gleaming, he rarely showed emotion, but those close to him noticed a shadow in his eyes. At last he spoke. "Fear has entered this chamber." His voice was deep, steady, echoing against the walls. "We fear the humans because they are unknown. We fear them because they shattered the Dominion so easily. But we must decide, do we treat them as allies or as enemies?" The hall erupted. "Enemies!" cried one noble. "Their power rivals our own. If we do not destroy them now, they will one day destroy us." "Fools," countered another. "Without them, Velan would have fallen. Without them, the Dominion would already be at our throats. We should join with them." Back and forth the arguments raged. Some demanded war. Others demanded peace. And above them all, the Emperor sat silent, weighing the future. Meanwhile, far from the glittering core in the border systems, fear took a different shape. On worlds long oppressed by imperial taxes and military law, whispers spread among the people. "Did you hear? The humans destroyed the Dominion fleet. They say they fight only to protect, not to rule. Maybe they are better than the Empire." Such whispers frightened imperial governors. For centuries, the Empire had ruled through fear and order. Now the people dreamed of another power, one that might defend them without demanding tribute. On Velan itself, loyalty began to shift. The colonists, once grateful for imperial protection, now spoke openly of their admiration for the humans. Children carved little models of the dark warship that had saved them. Workers painted its image on walls. Farmers prayed to it as if it were a guardian star. To them, the humans were not invaders. They were saviors. In the Imperial fleet, officers studied battle recordings endlessly. Science teams dissected every detail of the humans' weapons. They use kinetic slugs, one scientist said, but accelerated at speeds our drives cannot achieve. Their energy beams are precise, efficient far beyond ours. Their hulls resist plasma, torpedoes, even direct ramming. Admiral Reinar listened with unease. He had seen it all firsthand. No matter how much the scientists studied, they could not explain the humans' technology. It was not simply advanced, it was different. Built on principles the Empire did not understand. One young officer asked quietly, "Admiral, what if they chose to turn their weapons on us?" Reinar did not answer, because in his heart he already knew the truth. If the humans ever chose to fight the Empire would lose. On Terra's flagship, Terran Valor, Captain Elias watched these ripples of fear from afar. He knew the Empire was restless. He knew their leaders debated war and peace, but Elias and his people had no desire to rule. They had revealed themselves only because the Dominion threatened innocent lives. And yet he understood why the Empire feared them. Power always breeds fear. In quiet meetings with his crew, Elias spoke of restraint. "We must show them we are not conquerors," he said. "Every action we take must prove we stand for defense, not domination. If we act with arrogance, they will turn against us." The crew agreed. They had not come to replace the Empire. They had come to ensure no tyrant, dominion or otherwise, could burn the stars unchecked. But fear is a dangerous seed, and in the Empire it grew quickly. In the noble houses, secret councils gathered. "The Emperor is weak," some whispered. "He hesitates while humans grow stronger." In the military academies, officers argued, "We should prepare a plan to strike them before they strike us." And in the streets of the core worlds, rumors ran wild. Some said the humans were ancient gods returned. Others believed they were demons in disguise. Fear twisted into myth, and myth spread faster than truth. The Dominion, too, watched with burning hatred. Though their fleets had been destroyed, their leaders survived in hidden strongholds. They gathered what ships remained, forged new alliances, and plotted revenge. "They humiliated us," their warlords snarled. Not the Empire, the strangers. The humans. The Dominion swore vengeance. They would not rest until the humans burned. As days turned to weeks, tension rose. The Empire sent envoys to study the humans more closely, though always with caution. The humans, in turn, remained patient but firm, offering aid where they could. They helped defend a mining colony from raiders. They escorted refugee ships fleeing the Dominion. Everywhere they appeared, people began to trust them more. And with every act of protection, fear in the Empire deepened. For the people of the border worlds no longer looked to the Empire for safety. They looked to humanity. In the council hall, the Emperor finally spoke again. His words were quiet, but they carried across the chamber like thunder. "The galaxy is changing. We believed ourselves eternal, but we are not. A new power has risen, and it is not in our records. We can choose to stand with it, or we can choose to stand against it. But know this, whichever choice we make, the galaxy will never be the same." The council fell silent. For even the proudest nobles understood the truth. Fear had entered the heart of the Empire, and nothing could drive it out. The galaxy held its breath. For weeks, the Empire argued among itself. Nobles whispered in shadowed halls. Generals sharpened their plans, and common people prayed for peace. The Dominion, though broken, licked its wounds in the dark and gathered its strength again. But in the middle of it all, the humans remained calm. Their ships patrolled quietly, never crossing borders without permission, never striking unless it was to defend. To the frightened eyes of the galaxy, that restraint became more terrifying than war, for power so great, held so carefully, was a mystery no one could understand. On the bridge of the Terran Valor, Captain Elias stood watching the stars. His face was calm, but his mind carried the weight of decisions that could shape the future of countless lives. Commander Reyes, his second-in-command, joined him. "The Empire still debates," she said. "Some want to ally with us. Others want to destroy us before we grow stronger." Elias nodded. "It is the nature of fear. They do not know us, so they imagine the worst. We cannot control their fear. We can only control our choices." Reyes frowned. "And what choice will we make, Captain? Do we step forward, or do we step back into the shadows?" Elias looked at her. His voice was steady. "That is what we must decide together, as humans." A council was called aboard the flagship. Representatives of every human fleet attended. Scientists, soldiers, explorers, and even cultural leaders from Terra connected through secure channels. The chamber buzzed with voices. Some argued for retreat, believing humanity should vanish again into the hidden corners of space. Others demanded boldness and alliance with the Empire to shape the galaxy openly. At last, Elias rose. His words carried across the council with quiet strength. "We stand at a crossroads," he said. "We have the power to fight the Empire. We have the power to rule if we chose. But is that who we are? Is that why we came forward?" Silence fell. Elias continued. "We revealed ourselves because innocents were in danger. We fought because the Dominion sought to enslave and destroy. We did not fight to build an empire of our own. If we become conquerors, then we are no better than those we fought against." An elder scientist nodded slowly. "So what do you propose, Captain?" Elias lifted his head. "We choose to stand as guardians. Not rulers, not tyrants. If the Empire wants peace, we will give it. If they want war, we will defend ourselves. But we will never strike first. That is humanity's choice." The council voted. By a vast majority, the decision was made. Humanity would remain free, but it would never bend to fear or conquest. The choice spread through the fleet like fire. Soldiers stood taller, proud of the path they had chosen. Scientists began to share fragments of human knowledge with carefully chosen allies. Explorers set new charts for peaceful contact with border colonies. But though humanity had chosen peace, the galaxy did not rest. In the core worlds of the Empire, debates grew louder. In the Great Council Hall, nobles shouted until their voices cracked. "They are too dangerous," cried Lord Kralis. "Today they speak of guardianship. Tomorrow they will claim the throne itself." "They saved Valen," countered Lady Maris. "They saved our colonies from the Dominion. Without them, our people would be ash and dust. Would you betray the only ones who stood when our fleets failed?" The Emperor listened in silence. His gaze turned to Ambassador Solara, who had spoken with Elias face to face. "Tell us, Ambassador," the Emperor said. "Can we trust them?" Solara did not hesitate. "Yes, Your Majesty. They are not like us. They do not hunger for control. They only wish to live free. But I warn you, if we force them into war, we will not survive it." The chamber grew quiet. Every noble knew she spoke the truth, though many hated to admit it. Yet not all voices in the Empire listened. In secret, a faction of generals gathered. They feared that if humanity gained more support, the Empire's power would crumble. To them, it was better to strike first, even against the Emperor's will. Their plan was simple: provoke the humans into war, then rally the galaxy against them. Ships were prepared in secret, their orders hidden from official records. Meanwhile, in the shadows of forgotten systems, the Dominion prepared its revenge. Warlords gathered their broken fleets, reforging them with desperation and rage. They spoke of a single target: humanity. "They humiliated us," their leader roared. "They made the galaxy laugh at us. We will crush them no matter the cost. If the Empire fears them, we will turn that fear into fire. We will make humanity bleed." The Dominion's eyes turned toward Terra. Back aboard the Terran Valor, a warning came. Scouts reported unusual Dominion movements, massing in hidden sectors. At the same time, fragments of intelligence revealed whispers of rogue Imperial fleets mobilizing. Commander Reyes looked at Elias. "It may be war from two sides." "What do we do?" Elias's face hardened. "We do not change our choice, we defend. If they come, we will meet them head on. But we will not strike first." The storm broke sooner than expected. A Dominion fleet launched a surprise attack on a border colony, believing the humans too far to respond. But within hours, Terran ships appeared, faster than anyone imagined possible. The battle was short, brutal, and decisive. Dominion warships crumbled under the humans' weapons. Survivors fled into the dark, their vengeance broken once again. But even as the colony cheered, new alarms rang. An Imperial fleet claiming to act in the name of security entered the same system. Admiral Reinar, commanding the fleet, demanded to speak with Elias. On the communication screen, the Admiral's face was grim. "Captain Elias," he said, "you must surrender your fleet. The Empire cannot allow an uncontrolled power to roam the stars." Elias's reply was calm but firm. "We are not subjects of the Empire, Admiral. We will not surrender. But nor will we fire first. The choice is yours." The standoff was tense. Weapons were armed, shields raised. The galaxy held its breath again. At last, Reinar lowered his gaze. "I have seen your strength, Captain. And I have seen your restraint. I will not start a war we cannot win." His fleet withdrew. Humanity stood unbroken. The news spread across the galaxy like fire. In every corner, people spoke the same words. The humans did not conquer. The humans did not strike first. They chose peace, even when threatened. And in the hearts of the common people, something began to change. Hope replaced fear. Back in the council hall, the Emperor finally rose to give his judgment. His voice echoed like thunder. "The humans are not our enemies. They are not our subjects. They are a power beyond our records, a people who chose to stand without conquest. We will treat them with respect. We will treat them with caution. But above all, we will not forget the day they saved us when we could not save ourselves." The council fell silent. For the first time, unity touched the chamber. In the border world, celebrations filled the streets. Children painted the stars with human symbols. Farmers lifted songs of thanks. Workers spoke openly of a future where power was not only about fear, but also about protection. On Velen, The colony that had been saved, statues were raised, not of emperors or generals, but of the nameless human soldiers who had fought and died to keep the skies free. And aboard the Terran Valor, Captain Elias stood once more before his crew. Today, he said, we showed the galaxy who we are. Not rulers, not tyrants, guardians. Humanity's choice is clear. We will walk our own path. We will defend the innocent. And we will never bow to fear. The crew cheered, their voices carrying across the ship like thunder. As the stars stretched out before them, humanity moved forward, not as conquerors, not as slaves, but as free beings who had carved their place in the galaxy with courage, with strength, and with choice. The Empire panicked. The Dominion raged. But the truth was undeniable. Humanity had stepped out of the shadows, and the galaxy would never be the same again.